Good afternoon. I'm Mildred Chino from Pawadi Village. It's on the Laguna Pueblo, New Mexico. And I have, I guess, a two-part story that I want to share. The first part is sad for me because my spouse, who was a veteran and who worked at the mine, uranium mine, for 11 years, well, he passed in September 25th, 2023. And he was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis by expert pulmonologists from UNM who are familiar with the uranium mines in the Southwest. So when he put in his claim in 2015, he was denied. So from then, 2015 through 2023, his claim was bounced back and forth between the Labor Department and the Department of Justice. And the injustice that I believe came in the most recent letter he got of denial. The government contracted a medical hygienist, and this hygienist determined that my spouse did not work long enough, and he was exposed to low levels of what? We didn't know. So my spouse passed, and the pain I feel, the injustice of it all was that the government puts us at a level of lower than human, that we don't have feelings, that we don't have pain, that they don't bother to show empathy for what our people are going through in our communities, our miners, our workers who live near the mine. And that's what really hurts, that my husband had to pass without being compensated. And it's not only for him that I want to speak, but for others who don't have voices anymore. They've passed on, and it's something that it's a story that has to be told with truth. And let's see, okay, the government, I did learn that in 1970, OSHA put out regulations to protect workers. But our Anaconda, I do not believe they implemented the rules, because my spouse had a hard hat and safety glasses. That's all. And he breathed that dust day after day after day. And a little research on my part, I learned that there's silica in the dust. And that little particle lodges in the lungs, and it causes that disease. So I've tried to learn why he got sick. And other than the sadness that I shared with you, I also have a concern, because over the many years of the blasting at the Jack Pile mine, where I live close to that mine, our village is situated on a mesa. So when the mines blasted, it shook the whole mesa, and all our walls cracked, and the ovens walls cracked. And so I had to share the impact of that mining with my students who were third graders at the time I was still working. So one of my projects was, where have the ovens gone? And this is where I took our students out to the village, and we walked and looked at the ovens that were still up but could not be used anymore because they were in disrepair. There were cracks in the walls, and the ladies could not use those ovens anymore. So my concern is that the children in the village of Pawadi I don't think will ever have the experience of seeing the bread bake, or seeing the bread loaves go into the oven, and then have the oven fire up, and then within an hour the bread is baked. And some of those ovens would hold 25 and 10 loaves. So this was a traditional oven that was used for bread baking. And during the Easter holiday, which is coming up, the women folk made this special pudding that they put into the buckets, and they would put their buckets into the oven, and that pudding would cook overnight. So on Easter morning, the ladies would gather at the oven and take out their pudding, and that was a special treat for children, for us children at the time. What I really want our children to learn is the impacts of that mining operations to our cultural, traditional events. And like I said, the oven was used to bake bread, bake the Easter pudding, and then in the fall, the men folk would roast corn in those ovens. They would roast them overnight, so by the morning they were roasted. And the pictures I have here are a grandma near her oven with cracks in it, and she tried very hard to keep it from cracking. She used, or someone covered it with cement or concrete, but the cracks still came in. And the bottom picture here is bread baking in the oven, and this is something that I'm sorry that the children will not experience in my village unless someone builds a brand new oven. But the process of baking bread is a long and hard process, and that's what I really want to share, just the impact of that mining, the legacy of destruction to our traditional events, homes, ovens, is what the mining company left behind. And thank you for listening, and that's the end of where have the ovens gone.
Can you introduce yourself one more time?
Oh, I'm Mildred Chino from the village of Pawadi. It's on the Laguna Reservation, and it's near the open pit mine, which is there, and I see it every day, and I feel sad that our land is not what it used to be as a child, where we just roamed everywhere. Now it's all fenced off, can't get in there anymore. Okay? All right.